Welcome to the Top Stories channel. Today we will tell you a story written by an author. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. This is a story of a family that bravely fought to provide better conditions for their children and fought to remain strong and united. Even in adversity, the reward came with time. Lorenzo and Sapphira have been married for 11 years. They were a simple family living in a simple neighborhood on the outskirts. They had 3 children, 2 boys and a younger girl. Even with the conditions in which they lived, they were very happy. Although they were unemployed, they did everything possible so that their children did not lack for anything. From time to time he did odd jobs at heavy jobs, such as a gardener. Sapphira washed clothes and even took the risk of babysitting for some families. But one day something would shake that family. Gennaro, the caretaker of the boarding house, was pressuring Lorenzo to pay the rent late and told him, "Lorenzo, you haven't paid my rent for 4 months. If you don't pay me everything you owe me, I'll see you forced to evict him. The landlord doesn't like rent delays." Lorenzo nervously said, "Gennaro, have a little patience. I'm still collecting what I can. Things are difficult and work is not giving me the results I need. I don't care about that. They already warned me. If you don't pay me your rent, you're going to get out of here. I've kept you too long already. But that ends now." Gennaro replied seriously and coldly. Lorenzo did what he could to race against time and earn money from the odd jobs he did to help his family. Then Lorenzo called Sapphira to talk and told her, "My love, what are we going to do? Gennaro said that he is going to evict us if we can't pay the rent. Calm down, love. Let's find a way out of this. I'm sure God won't abandon us," Sapphira said, comforting her husband. The two hugged and kissed in that moment of anguish. The two sought to educate their children and not realize the harsh reality in which they lived. But after completing the 5th month of rent, Gennaro had no mercy and threw the couple and their children out of the boarding house, and had all the family belongings thrown out onto the street. The couple even begged him to reconsider. But the man was firm and strong, and they would not accept this family on the spot. The other tenants couldn't do anything. Gennaro was protected by the owner of the pension, and unfortunately he had a right to it, but deep down, the humiliation that Gennaro inflicted on them left them outraged. Lorenzo, Sapphira, and their children, with no other alternative, headed to a homeless shelter where they would live for the next few months. They were forced to sell part of the furniture so as not to run out of food for their children. That couple stayed together at all costs, facing prejudice and rejection from the people. But they managed to make friends with the homeless people who lived there. The family ended up adjusting to their new life, but they didn't want to live there for the rest of their lives, and so they were running out of time to do whatever service came along. They swept the street, washed the dishes in a restaurant, even fixed the garden. That family was not willing to give up life. But soon an unpleasant surprise would torment that couple. A social worker together with 2 police officers came to take the children out of the family and take them to an orphanage to give them up for adoption, saying that the couple had no conditions to care for the children and support them. It turns out that Gennaro had called social services to take the couple's children away, thinking he was doing them a favor. Desperate Kayik told the social worker, "Please, don't do this. They are our children. You have no right to take our children from us." And Sapphira added, "That's not fair. Please, give us time to resolve our situation. Don't do this to us." The social worker agreed and gave the couple 6 months to solve this problem, otherwise they would be left without their children. The desperate couple races against time to get better jobs and give their 3 children a decent life. But fate would soon step in to help. One day the family was walking down the street. An elderly lady who passed quietly, but suddenly the lady begins to feel bad and faints. When he saw that scene, he didn't stay still and ran to help the lady. Sapphira and her children run after. Since no one knows the resuscitation procedures, they take the cell phone from the lady that was in her bag and call the ambulance. Doctors arrive and take the woman to a hospital. The couple that was nothing to that lady decide to accompany the lady. The doctors ask the family if they are related to that lady. They said no, they were just passing by and I saw the lady pass out. The family sided with him and wanted to know if he was okay, so the doctor said that the lady's name was Simone and that she had a heart attack. And if she hadn't called the ambulance, you would have died. Lorenzo, perplexed, said, "My God. What an irony in life. I hope everything goes well for this lady. Does she have no relatives? Children or something?" And the doctor said that she had no close relatives and her children must live in another country. In the head of Lorenzo and Sapphira. The lady appeared to be someone of great purchasing power and good social position. But they didn't want rewards, just to know if you were okay. They waited until the lady woke up. When the lady woke up, she said, "Where am I? And what am I doing here?" The doctors seeing the awakening of the lady. They explained the whole situation to me. That he had a heart attack and would have died if a family hadn't taken his cell phone and called the doctors. The lady asks to meet her saviors. And she is very grateful to them, and the lady tells them, "Thank you very much. My children. What can I do?" Sapphire respectfully said, "Ma'am, your gratitude is enough and live. It is already our reward." The woman was excited, but still wanted to reciprocate the couple. And Lorenzo humbly tells her, "Ma'am, the only thing we would like is a job for my wife and me. We have 2 children to take care of. They have evicted us from our room where we live. And the juvenile court is about to take away our children because of our condition." The lady gets even more excited and says her name. Agnes. She owned a prestigious chain of clothing stores. In fact, Agnes's children lived in England and she was alone in the country. Ines offered the couple a job in one of her stores. Lorenzo was working in the stock, arranging the merchandise, which he learned with dedication and focus from the store manager passing the knowledge on to him. Sapphira stayed on as a cleaner, cleaning the store and the windows. Life seemed to change for the couple. Ines allowed the couple to take their children with them to be with their parents, except during school hours. And with the money they raised, Lorenzo and Sapphira decided to invest in a pastry course. That lasted 3 years. The couple learned to make bread, cakes, tarts, pastries, and everything that the world of confectionery has to offer. The couple thus took advantage of the opportunity that life gave them. And so they opened their own pastry shop next to Ines's shop because Ines was a customer present at the bakery and her employees also showed up for breakfast or afternoon coffee. With the bakery enjoying success, Lorenzo and Sapphira decided to buy the place and the owner voluntarily sold the place to the couple. And they built their own house at the back of the site for them to live in. Now Lorenzo, Sapphira, and their children lived days of joy and happiness. But one unexpected day when the couple was serving their clients, a sad and apathetic-looking man appeared at the place asking for work, any service. Soon Lorenzo and Sapphira recognized the man. It was Gennaro, who was sad and unemployed. At that moment, Zafiro said, "Gennaro, it's been a long time. I haven't seen you since you evicted us from the pension where we lived." And Lorenzo added, "Gennaro, how strange that you were the caretaker of the boarding house looking for work. What happened? Explain yourself." Gennaro then explained everything without hiding anything. The owner of the pension ended up dying, the man's wife and children sold the place and moved to another state. And the new owners decided to demolish the place to build a shopping center, and the tenants were fired, and since Gennaro did not fit into the new procedures of that property, he lost his job as a janitor. And Gennaro told them, "Of course. I know they must hate me for having evicted them from the boarding house and suing the juvenile court to take away their children, and they must hate me a lot. And they have every reason to do so. After all, I was so mean to you." Lorenzo and Sapphira took pity on Gennaro, saying that they understood the situation and that they did not hold a grudge. More than that, it helped them get stronger. Lorenzo tells Gennaro, "Gennaro, I'm so sorry. I know what you're going through. But I can't give you a job here. Because my staff is already full." And Sapphira completes, "I'm sorry lots of Gennaro. If we could I'd even give you a job here. But the vacancies are already taken. And at that moment Gennaro regretted it and was about to leave when Lorenzo approached him and said, Gennaro, why don't you go to that clothing store? Maybe they need someone. It doesn't cost anything to go there. Gennaro then nodded and said goodbye to the couple and went to try to get a job at the store. The couple at the time could have humiliated Gennaro, but they decided to help. They robbed anyone. Because then they would have been relentless. And so Lorenzo and Sapphira continued with their business and their family. Ines was still firm and strong with her business thriving. Gennaro, with a lot of effort, got a job as a cleaner in the store and decided to start his life over from scratch. Even so, he still had a hint of remorse for what he had done to Lorenzo and his family. But it helped him learn great lessons about life. Moral of the story. It is in difficult times that we know our partners and who we choose to be by our side. As a friend or marriage partner. And in the adversities that shape life. In good times, everyone wants to be with you, but in poverty, few will really be by your side. Do not forget to subscribe, and if you liked the story, leave your like, leave in the comments what you have learned.